everybody. How we doing? How's everybody doing? What's going on? What's up? What's up? That's Church of Eight Wheels. That's my intro. That's my outro song. I love that music. I think it sets a really nice tone with the idea that we're just here to have fun. We're just here to talk about charts, a little bit of education, some trading psychology. You know, we're going to take a look at the Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana. I want to hear from you folks, but definitely thank you for being here, whether you're watching live, whether you're watching, you know, on the replay. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Folks, jump into the chat room, you know, say what's up. Let me know your thoughts. This is part of the quick market update series on my YouTube channel, Cheds Trading. I'm streaming here twice a week, every Tuesday, Friday. You may not know, I have a brand new video series. I'm posting videos daily. I'm posting videos every day now. So for those who are watching, go to the playlist Daily Education. And I'm putting out, I want this to be kind of your one-stop shop, a trading encyclopedia. You know, when you're curious about, you know, what's a candlestick or what a trading technique is, you've heard something, you're not sure what it is. I want you to be able to come here and see I have these 3-minute videos that come out every day. You can see the videos I've posted so far: emotional management, confirmation, outside bar, you know, moving average basics. And I've got a whole bunch of videos ready that I've already recorded that will come out soon. Northern Doji, head and shoulders. What's a throwback? What's a pullback? So I've got a huge library. This will be your go-to source to just get some good, solid, clean education. And when you're not sure, you can come back and you can check that out. So that's the Daily Education series. So I'm actually posting daily videos now. I have the Masterclass webinar, which you should definitely watch. It's kind of like a condensed version of the Daily Education. I'm giving you basically the important foundational stuff for classical charting, for Japanese candlestick theory, all the things that I've studied, the textbooks I've read. I did CMT level 1. You kind of see there. So check out all that stuff. You know me, of course, Twitter at Big Ched. Catch me there. If you're looking for an exchange, check out BingX, my favorite exchange. And you can catch me on Bitcoin Live, where I'm a founding analyst. By the way, folks, my new book is out, Book 4, The Trading Journal. The reviews are in. People are enjoying that. And since I published a new book, I'm making my 3rd book free. So the Trading Quotes book, right? I've got that playlist. I'm doing every part of the book for free. I've got 25% of it. I might record another video today. So I've got a lot of great stuff available for you, especially on my YouTube channel. I hope you're enjoying all of it. By the way, folks, for this for this daily education playlist, in the chat right now, or on the comment of any of my videos, let me know what you'd like me to cover in terms of like trading stuff you're having trouble with, trading concepts, any of that. So anything you think you want me to cover in the daily education series, let me know. I'm going to do that. You know, I'm going to talk about Bitcoin. We'll talk about the market. Then I'll get to your questions here in the chat room. So Bitcoin right now, someone just says in the comments, it's boring. You can definitely say that. It is in a box. It is in a rectangle. It's in a bullish consolidation after an advance. It's high and tight. We are essentially still in the consolidation phase following that weekly inside bar. That was a big old clue that's turned out to be an important clue when we had the inside bar back in May 20, week ending, May 25th. And we've just been essentially sideways since then. But what's important to note about that is that the price has retained the gains, right? When you make an advance, you want to look and see where it's consolidating, the top third, the middle, or the bottom third. It is holding the gains. It's high and tight. It still is a bullish consolidation. And even though it's boring, you know, what's happening is it's allowing things to catch up, right? It's allowing oscillators to reset, rebalancing things in the short term, allowing for a continued move. Now, what does it mean? How do we put it all in perspective? Well, you have to, as a trader, identify levels you can work with. And you have essentially reasonably well-defined range lows, circa 100K, and you have the overhead level, roughly around 110, 111K. So I'm going to draw it this way to simplify things, where you have some brief deviations of this rectangle, the move above and the move below, but generally this does represent the structure. So we have Bitcoin kind of cruising right along. People are calling for top and dominance. They're calling for, you know, a top in Bitcoin because of some bounded oscillator divergence. You know, I think they want it to top off. So here's a good question. What about the RSI bearish divergence on the daily chart? I mean, is this supposed to do something for me? The fact that we have lower highs in the RSI is pretty much irrelevant because the on-balance volume confirms the trend, okay? RSI is a bounded oscillator, right? So it's got a fixed limit and it's going to top off prematurely. And so you get these, like for example, here you had a bearish divergence, but then you made a new high just shortly after. It really doesn't, even if you think it's okay, bearish divergence, what does that do for you? Like, what about it is a question. Well, what about it? What are you supposed to do with this information that you've drawn a regular divergence with RSI, right? First of all, I don't recommend that. I'm going to have a daily education video on that, but it's a bounded oscillator. You want to use RSI for hidden or continuation divergence rather than reversal divergence. All this means essentially is that the RSI is at roughly 55 and we're basically at all-time highs, bit. We're at all-time highs with a cool RSI or an RSI that has a lot of room to run, right? So I don't know what it gains you to say, to draw, you know, or to identify a divergence, because you essentially have the OBV is confirming the trend. It matches the trend. And that's what's the most important, because the OBV is an indication of accumulation and distribution. It's an indication of bullish and bearish momentum. And if, for example, the price was making new highs, but the OBV was making, you know, lower highs, that would be something I'd be worrying about. But you can get into a lot of trouble trying to trade based on just RSI divergence. I mean, even right here, you have a break of the RSI descending supply trend. So this, if you're a bear, this doesn't. I mean, is this all you've got? If you're a bear on Bitcoin, is some RSI divergence? You need, at a minimum, some type of a loss of support. You got to start with 100K, and you are very simply buying that dip if we get another shot. If we get another shot at 100K, so RSI divergence doesn't do anything for me. It's a regular divergence. I don't use RSI for that. I'll have a video on that shortly. But it was an interesting question. But you know, really, bears have done no damage. We just had what, the highest, you know, weekly close ever, and so there's no volume suggesting there's a top. There's no blow off volume. There's no candle structure. You know, the RSI divergence doesn't do anything for me. So let's see, folks. So that's the deal with Bitcoin. We're essentially grinding at all-time highs in a box. We've got support here. Kind of paying attention to, you know, the fact that the moving averages are flattened out here on the daily, and is generally becoming trendless, where all the moving averages are sideways. So these moving average crosses don't mean anything to us. They're not giving us any, you know, any type of information. And we're kind of looking, we're reading the tea leaves, right? We're looking at the rest of the market. We're looking at Ethereum and Solana and other altcoins to try to get a sense of what's going on. You know, Ethereum is still not very strong. It's still weak to Bitcoin. We know that. Ethereum versus Bitcoin. We know in the weekly time frame it needs to hold 2150, and it is very generally, you can be best described as trading in a range between 2150 and 2750 overhead. I wouldn't really touch it right now. I'd rather be in Bitcoin than Ethereum for sure. And you know, Solana, big rejection 185, and you know, drop back to 125. So it also has this range. It's one of those charts, kind of like Ethereum, where it looks decent on the weekly time frame, but the daily trend has very much rolled over. So we're seeing that medium-term loss of momentum both on Solana and Ethereum, while you know, Bitcoin just grinds higher. Let's get some questions, folks. I do want to hear from you. I don't stream all that often, but I do videos every day, right? But I'm only here a couple days a week live streaming. So I really enjoy the opportunity to hear from you, to talk to you folks, and to, you know, just to kind of touch base and keep things going. So, Cheds, why is Bitcoin boring? We talked about that. Can you cover influences? Can you cover on-balance volume and how to use it in classical charting? Yes, I'm going to do a video, and I have it covered, of course, in the Masterclass tutorial, but I'm going to do a video just on the on-balance volume. And essentially, it's an index indicator, and it's adding up the volume in the green candles subtracting the volume and the red candles, and the TLDR, or the too long didn't read, or the summary, the brief summary is it should confirm the trend. It should match more or less what the trend is doing, and that's an important thing to watch for divergence. Regular divergence, where maybe higher lows in the OBV versus higher lows in the price. That'd be a bullish divergence, or lower highs. And I'll discuss that, of course, in another video, so that's a good topic. We talked about RSI. Cheds, are you thinking now that it's clear that altcoins are just dropping and are practically over for them, that you'd rather cover the stock market than crypto? No, I would always rather cover crypto. It's what I've been living, breathing, trading, teaching for the last, since 2017. This is my niche. This is what I'm good at. And certainly Bitcoin, I kind of know like the back of my hand. So, in terms of like altcoins, that's a category, right? I tend to be more chart to chart. I tend to look at, one chart at a time, and I'm always looking for opportunity. And there will be opportunity. So I tend not to think of what are altcoins doing. I tend to think of what are individual charts doing. Like BCH is a nice looking chart that is grinding higher. And for sure, I'm targeting this for some type of a throwback, which would be a bullish retest. So Matej, I'm just basically going to play chart by chart. I'm not going anywhere. I'm sticking with crypto. Fab says every July, August in this cycle, Bitcoin is dumped. Could BTC retest 170K area? Well, I think first, before you look at a 97K area, I think you want to look at the price structure right around 100K. Reasonably well-defined local range lows, and the bull thesis, the most recent bull thesis on that trade that you took was a recapture of 100K or a recapture of 101K. So that means this level has continued importance, and I would be watching that more so than this range right here. Could it get there? Absolutely. We are in a weekly consolidation that has plenty of room to run and can continue to consolidate and still be quite bullish. So absolutely. How is Chainlink? Let's take a look. So for those of you who are just showing up, welcome. We're doing the live stream. Folks, I have a daily education series. Brand new video every day. You got to check it out. I'm teaching you all the basics, a lot of the advanced stuff as well. Just 3-minute videos on pretty much every topic in trading and technical analysis. If you look for something and it's not there, let me know, and I want to make a video on that. So just let me know. Let's take a look at Chainlink. Thank you for the question. Thank you for the chart. It is not looking good. It is certainly not looking good. You have the potential for a higher low here, sure. You have a bull case of some type of a double bottom forming that wouldn't complete till around 17, 18. And it speaks to the idea that you don't necessarily need to label this price structure. All you really would need to do is identify the level at which it would suggest that the price is going to rejoin the bull trend, and that would be a flip of 1750. Until then, I'd be highly skeptical. Look at the lower high structure or the descending supply trend, pushing the price down. It's priced below a falling MA200. So I generally don't like the chart. You even have very roughly a break of the rising demand trend here. This thing is very much vulnerable. I would not want to have any long exposure in it. That being said, I would have no problem taking a long if it can break, let's say 1750. So that was a great question. Cheds, Optimus Prime, Cheds, are moving averages arbitrary? So you use specific moving averages, and why those? Well, that's a great question. I just put out a video. It just was released a day ago. What are my moving averages and why I'm using them? So go watch that video. I created this video for you, Optimus. That is a great question. Check that out. Let me know. Hey, Cheds, Oceanic. Hey, Cheds, has anything changed in the daily and weekly chart structure for Ethereum since it built the tower top? Yeah. So Ethereum put in the tower top. And if you had watched me here, I talked about it a bunch on Twitter. I was sounding the warning bells here after this strong advance, near Maribozu, and the series of, 5 stars or 5 small real candle bodies in a row. It's normally a setup for a tower top. And I was essentially anticipating a drop back to the midpoint of the candle, confluence 2150. That's exactly what happened. So that trade played out. You had another opportunity to buy at 2150, right? That's so important on this chart. So the question is, has the daily, weekly structure changed? Well, I mean, the weekly structure is unchanged in that it is flirting with a rollover. We see the slope of the MA200 changing, flattening out. That reflects the change in trend. And we see how important just that 2150 level is. So if anything, to answer your question, what has changed at this level is more important based on the recent bounce off of it. So that was a good question. What's up, Psalm Capital? Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to you, man. Hope you're doing well. Thoughts on a chart like QS, looking for a pullback around 45. I don't know off the top of my head if I'm super familiar with QS. QS, is that something else, or are we talking about like a stock? I don't see QS anywhere. QS. QuantumScape. I'm betting that's what you're talking about. So your question is, looking for a pullback around 650 for entry. Love to hear your thoughts. Interesting. It's a very forgettable chart, but this volume is something. Now, as you know, because you've watched, you've watched my videos. Do I have volume basics here yet? I've recorded a video. I'm not sure. Here we go. This hasn't come out yet. This will come out in about a week. Well, from that video, it will teach you that the most volume comes at the bottom and the top of a chart, right? That's because when the price is already trending, let's say it's an uptrend, you already have an imbalance in supply and demand. You already have more buyers than sellers, hence the trend. The price, say it eventually reaches some resistance level and a battle ensues. Bears step in, they reject higher prices, and you get a lot of volume there. Same thing on the bottom. So you get most volume at the bottom and the top, and you need volume to reverse a trend, right? Not to continue it. So this is a pretty weak chart, but it's starting to break out of that, right? You have volume, you have a little bounce here, but it's still, it's still vulnerable and arguably is actually a short setup because you have a bounce in a downtrend. And you have a bounce in a downtrend to resistance. So first of all, I would be incredibly careful until maybe 950 clears. Your question is to enter on a pullback. Well, technically a pullback in classical charting would be a pullback to broken support or to resistance, underside test. But what I believe you mean is a throwback or drop back to 650 range. So the question is, you're looking for an entry around 650. I don't see any reason why it would be unreasonable to think that this may come back and allow you to test, support here. It is a bad chart that has just bounced. It's got a lot to prove. It needs a lot more follow-up than just one nice green candle with accumulation. So, don't feel FOMO. Please don't feel FOMO with this chart. You're already starting out with the right strategy, which is you want to buy a dip. That's good. Wait for that. Nubis Plubis, great name, says, been following for years. I love your level-headed analysis. I think my head's level. Your Twitter feed and YouTube videos are really helpful. Thank you. I love that feedback. I'm really proud of the work I put in, trying to teach you folks, trying to give you good tips, good heads up when on Twitter when the price is doing something, and of course Bitcoin Live when I do my twice a week full market analysis. I try to be proud of the work that I put out. I'm really excited about the new daily education series on YouTube. Hopefully you guys are going to check that out. All right, let's see. Fabs, what's up, Fabs? He says, you mentioned during the talk with Eric Crown, you still look for volatility. Yep. Example, it dropped to 80. You still think this could happen? Sure. I mean, absolutely. First, and would it still be a bullish dump? Well, absolutely. Any type of high time frame drop, as long as the price holds the MA50, would be bullish. There is no doubt about that. And I think my line in the sand would be 88.5 with the rising MA50. We may not get that. It's been a very controlled uptrend, a very controlled consolidation, and it's been high and tight. And I'll do a separate video on what that means, high and tight, but it's just basically been consolidating near the peak of the advance. So there's really no hint there's really no hint or indication that we should be preparing for some type of a deeper drop. That being said, you still want to mark out those charts and be ready no matter what. Okay. Jad says, would you mind looking at Pepe or Brett? Sure, I'll take a look at Pepe. I believe Kraken has some price history. Yeah, all right, that's a weekly chart. Let's go to the daily chart. What do we think about Kraken? Huh. Well, we see that Kraken put in the double bottom and double Eve, if you want to call it. I'm sorry, double Atom, double V rather, double bottom, set the peak, came back just below, and then broke through. And this is a good example to use of, like I just did the video on how to play a fake out, right? It just came out. How to play a fake out, right? And the idea is that you can take a trade idea and try it again if it's been revalidated. So, for example, say you had identified the peak of this range and said, you know, I'm long, you know, on a break of, you know, whatever that is, 9,000 Satoshi or 9,100. You came back and you got stopped out. But when the price revalidated your long here, you were able to take you were able to re-enter the trade. So you entered once, you were stopped out, and the trade idea was revalidated. And we even had some accumulation on the break of that range. So that was a good sign. Now, there was no real follow through. We had a classic pullback to lost support or underside retest of the structure from late 2024. And the price has been in a falling channel ever since. Importantly, it held here on this initial test of the range, peak of that range. We'll see if there's follow through. You know, an initial hold is good, but you need to see follow through on that. So here's the problem. It's a downtrend. It's priced below falling, you know, MA200, and it's still in danger. And this right here very much should be viewed as a bear flag or as just bearish consolidation after a move down. Needs to hold here. I would not hold if this level fails. And those are my thoughts on Pepe, okay? What's up, Gilbert? Good to see you. Ovo, Jason. Jason says, the intro song always gives me good vibes, which is comforting. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you for that. I love that song, The Church of Eight Wheels. Ian says 4-year cycle or super cycle. Now, these are just, to me, words. And at the end of the day, those are fun things to talk about on like a spaces with like, you know, with King Wabi on Because Bitcoin. But what does it do for you in terms of managing your risk? What does it do for you in terms of executing a trade or taking profit or just managing your position? That needs to be simply based on price versus key levels. And you're going to continue to watch that. You're going to continue to watch that key interaction and look for signs of weakening and strengthening trend. So, you know, I don't know how helpful it is to even think in terms of, you know, 4-year cycle or super cycle. Folks, this is part of the quick market update series on my YouTube channel. Just to remind everybody who's watching, Trading Journal is out. You can catch it on Amazon. I've been doing trading quotes for free. I'll probably do a new video soon. I'm making my 3rd book for free. You got to check out the daily education series. I'm doing 3-minute videos every day, trying to explain techniques, trading techniques. And I would like you, please, everyone listening, check out this playlist. And if there's a topic that's not covered, let me know in the comments, either here or apply to the video. I want to know what you'd like me to cover. I want to give you just a good 3-minute tutorial on pretty much everything out there, and that's going to be the goal of that playlist. Yeah, let's take a look at Render. I haven't looked at this one in a while. Render USD. Oof, not a good looking chart. It is not a good looking chart. If this can, by some miracle, bounce again to like $4, you know, that low $4 range, I think you would want to take a short. It would be a bounce in a downtrend to a well-defined level. Hopefully, you do not have any long exposure in this chart. This looks like it's going to roll over and go lower. Probably going lower, probably going to like $2, you know, somewhere in that range. So this is a bearish, very much a bearish chart. All right. So, folks, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for hanging out here with me. Hopefully everyone's having a good summer. I know I'm having a good summer. I've been fishing. I've been doing a lot of work here for YouTube. But, I'm spending time outside, and I'm actually playing a lot of chess. I love chess. I find that really helps to train your mind. But back to business. We talked about Bitcoin. We talked about the consolidation, the weekly time frame, high and tight, price versus the key trading levels, Ethereum's underperformance, Solana's underperformance, Solana's recent daily troubles kind of rolling over in the daily versus weekly. And this is part of the quick market updates on my YouTube twice a week. Catch me. I'll be back on Friday for a stream. But if you're watching this on replay, it's all good. I'm glad you showed up. Check out daily education. Check out the trading quotes. Watch the masterclass. Find me on Twitter at Big Cheds. Drop me a question. Let me know what you're thinking, how you're feeling. Check out Bing X if you're looking for a trading exchange. And Trading Journal, like I said, is on Amazon. And check out Bitcoin Live. So, folks, thanks for hanging out. Appreciate you, folks. If I didn't get to your questions, I apologize. I'll try to get to it next time. Let's jam it out with the Church of 8 Wheels. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you.